All right. Welcome back to the A to Z Film Room Mailbag. Every single Wednesday at noon, we go live. We answer questions from you folks on the A to Z Film Room channel, college football, recruiting, NFL draft. We answer it all. And if you do have questions during the stream, drop them in the YouTube chat. YouTube questions are going to get prioritized as always. And also, if you're joining us, hit the like button. Helps us get a little bit more exposure. If you haven't done so, also, please make sure you subscribe. Ryan, how are we doing today?
Fantastic. It's super rainy, which is not always a fun thing, but it's what's weird, Joe, is my daughter right now is obsessed with umbrellas. Like she thinks it's the coolest thing in the she thinks it's the coolest thing in the world, bro. Like
Okay.
she's like she made me order her a Disney princess umbrella, and she thinks it is absolutely the coolest thing in the world to have a Disney princess umbrella. So she loves when it rains because she gets to hold her umbrella going into pre-K and coming out. So
See, I wish I
that's the
had that
love.
much excitement for rain. I get pissed off when it rains because you can't you
Seriously.
can't go outside. It just completely ruins being able to walk around doing everything. I mean, that's great, man. Did you? How much?
Yeah.
How bad? How expensive was the umbrella?
Ah, dude, it's a kid's umbrella. It's like $20, $25, something like
That
that.
feels
But
expensive. I don't know why.
for
It feels
for
expensive
a
for.
kid's umbrella that has Disney princesses on it, what like
Yeah,
what do you
I feel
expect?
like you could have gotten a knockoff one for cheaper. You gotta get
Well,
more.
I,
You gotta
I
get a little
I'm
more
not cheap.
creative.
I'm not cheap for my kids. I'm giving them the life they deserve, Joe.
That umbrella is going to be broken in a month. You watch.
Absolutely not. We had to talk about that. We are very very careful with our umbrellas, man. Very careful.
All right, we're here to talk about the 2026 NFL Draft as well as any other questions that we received. We got some pretty good questions today, and we're going to
Yeah.
answer them that we have throughout the show. Again, if you have any thoughts on the draft, college football for this upcoming season, I think that a lot of people, their focus is turning to the start of this college season. There's starting to be a lot of fervor, a lot of excitement for what teams people think are going to be great this year. So, any
Fervor.
thoughts?
Fervor?
Yes.
I've
Did
never
I
heard
use
that
it?
word before in my
You've
life.
never.
Never heard the word
Okay.
fervor before. It
You were
might be
the
a word.
English
I'm just saying,
major.
like I've never heard the word fervor before. Never heard it. Yeah, I'm sure it's a
Well,
word. I'm sure it's a word. I'm
intense or
positive.
passionate feeling is what fervor means.
I said that I am sure that it is a word. I have just personally never heard anyone use it, and I have personally never heard it
Why?
before.
Well, okay, so I have the creativity to use a sick word, and you got to take my. I doubted that I made up that word for a quick second there. Come on,
But I
Ryan.
literally led off by saying I think it's
The,
probably a word, but I just don't know the word. I mean,
this is
that's
why they don't pay me the big bucks because I use big words like this. I'm too confusing
this
for
is
you.
also this is also why I'm not an English teacher anymore because I don't know the word
You
fervor
yeah, well, you were the
apparently.
English major. I was the
I know.
journalism. Okay, all right, we're getting distracted. We're supposed to be talking. We can't. I don't know why we do this mailbag, Ryan, because we almost never get to the questions because we get so freaking distracted. My point was though is that if you have questions about the 2026 NFL draft or that 2025 college football season, you're excited about a team, a player, whatever it is, drop it in the chat. We will address it. We will talk about it. But I wanted to open today's convo with the 2026 running backs because this is a great running back class. It's not as good as this past year, but there's some really exciting names. And I dig further than that. There's a lot of underrated, unexpected names. And I think that we're going to get to see this year a lot of guys shine and step up. I know that we're going to spend some time talking about Jeremiyah Love and Nick Singleton, but like, you know who the first guy that comes to mind that fits that what I just described there? Jaydn Ott from Oklahoma, who transferred from Cal, is a really good example of this.
Are we doing the
Well,
Jaydn Ott
hold,
thing already? We're doing this
oh,
already?
wait,
Okay.
hold on. All
Yes.
I was saying was that
Yes.
last year he was hurt. It wasn't
Uh-huh.
fully available. We didn't get
Uh-huh.
that same level of production that he had in 2023 at Cal. So if there
Right.
is a player that bursts back onto the scene, has a really good year, is a top 10 rusher in the country because they want to rely on him and get him the football in space to be productive, he is one of these guys that could be a driving force. I'd also like to point
Mhm.
out, I don't want to hear you giving me a hard time about Jaydn Ott. When you were the
I
bigger
like
Jaydn Ott
Jaydn Ott.
supporter,
I
yeah,
like
you were
Jaydn
a
Ott.
bigger Jaydn Ott
But
supporter than I
the film
was.
last year was bad. I don't know what else to say
He was
about it. Like he has
hurt.
more recent
He was
film.
hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt. He was kind of hurt
Okay.
sometimes. I mean, I don't know. You know what he is for me, Joe. You know what he is for me, Jaydn Ott. He is a pure wait and see player. I graded him. I still graded him, and Not to pat myself on the back too much as we start the show here today,
Yeah.
but I'm over 100 evaluations deep already. Over 100. You know why I'm so deep into it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, and then there's a reason for that.
Yes, there's a deeper reason than just me doing my due diligence. But yeah, he still got I still had a top 150 on him. Like he's still a top 150 player just based upon his speed and upside. But I mean, he was not the same player last year than he was previously. Like that's like the thing. And yeah, I mean, we could say it's the injury, but like, what if the nagging injury starts to eat at his explosiveness? You know, like there's just some
It's a
things
fair
that
point.
there are just some things that need to be kind of figured out with Jaydn Ott. But I'm excited for Oklahoma having him, obviously, because he's the best running back on that roster, and I think it'll help to have John Mateer as his quarterback, because if you collapse too hard down on Jaydn Ott, then John Mateer is going to take it out the backside for a big gain as a runner. You know what I mean? So, yeah, a lot of opportunity there for sure. A lot of opportunity. I have a couple of guys that I would say are like nice sleepers in this class, though. That's kind of what gets me going here.
But before we get to the sleepers, because I do think that there's a lot. Again, it plays into this conversation. There's also like intriguingly, there's a number of guys when you look that fit that conversation that we're having there, where there is some wait and see. We remember CJ Baxter from Texas, who was great as a freshman, was super exciting, goes down with a preseason injury. He's unavailable. They don't get to have him. And now there is this hope that he comes back and he ends up being, just as exciting as he was as a freshman. Le'Veon Moss from Texas A&M is a guy that you and I talked about. And Reuben Owens was once the number one recruit in his class at running back. So like there is talent from players who got hurt early on in their careers that could end up being just super important players for their teams and end up having just massive seasons and declaring and being potentially top 150 picks.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think CJ Baxter, however he wants to be called, overall. But he was a kid that looked like he was going to be the next big running back for Texas, obviously, kind of mixing it with Jaden Blue. You know what's funny, Joe, is like, who the heck is Trey Wisner? Like, we had no idea this time last year of like who Trey Wisner is. And now all of a sudden Texas has a pretty cool 1-2 duo of running backs if Baxter is healthy. So yeah, I'm interested to see. And I mean, there's a few guys with some injury backgrounds. I mean, like you mentioned Jaydn Ott, like Jadarian Price from Notre Dame, who's the other Notre Dame running back, had a ACL tear that cost him a full season. So like there's a couple of those injury guys that are kind of worth kind of working through the minutia of it a little bit.
Folks, a reminder, by the way, if you're joining us, please tap that like button, send us some questions. We've got a couple good questions so far. By the way, I haven't prefaced this actually. Fantasy questions. If you have a fantasy football question, Devy, Dynasty, whatever it is, shoot us. We'll answer those questions as well. Looks like somebody sent us a Dynasty question. So we'll get to that in a little bit to continue talking about these running backs, because, again, there's a lot of exciting names to go to. I want to talk about Love and Singleton, but you mentioned that you think you have some sleepers. Who are some of those sleepers that catch your attention?
Of course, you asked me the question as I'm taking a sip of water, so it was really bad timing on that part, Joe. Really bad timing.
No, that's on you. That's your fault.
Let me start with one. I think there's one that stands out above the rest. Mekhi Hughes, now transferred to Oregon, Tulane kid. Have you seen Mekhi Hughes at all? He's interesting, man.
Great player.
He is 5'11", 210 pounds. And having seen him in passing, I thought I kind of had a understanding of what he was as like just a physical downhill kid, tough contact balance, like that type of dude. But he's very different than I thought he was going to be. Very different. Dude's got legit explosiveness, man. Like there was some runs where I was like, okay, he got from 0 to 100 in like a blink of an eye. Like he is a very explosive kid. I think the change of direction actually is a lot better than I thought it was going to be as well. Like he's not a one-track runner. Like he can manipulate guys in tight spaces pretty well. And I think there's some legit receiving upside with him out of the backfield as well. Like there was one play, I think it was against Kansas State, where they just ran like a little play action and just got him the ball quickly in the flat off of just kind of like it was kind of like a deceptive looking play. But like the thing that really caught my attention was not that Mekhi Hughes could catch the ball cleanly out of the backfield. It was that he made someone miss out of the backfield and exploded for a huge game against a Big 12 opponent. And I mean, Kansas State plays typically good defense. Like they are one of the few teams in the Big 12 that consistently play good defense, right? So seeing that receiving upside, seeing the explosiveness, and now seeing him at Oregon in that offense, even though Oregon has to rebuild their offensive line a little bit, I don't know if we ever talked about this, Joe, but I didn't think Jordan James was that good as a player. Like, I really did not. When I graded him as a prospect, I wasn't.
He was
huge
behind
Jordan
a
James
good
fan.
offensive line, and he fit well with the system. I don't think he was as good of a prospect as Bucky Irving was.
No, not at all. I agree 100%. But Jordan James was really productive, but there were some questions of like, how do you find that production? Because they didn't have a ton of running backs in the room, like Noah Whittington and Jaden Lamar, like a lot of like younger guys or guys that haven't really panned out. I think Mekhi Hughes is an upgrade at Oregon at running back. Like, he's an upgrade, in my opinion, over what they just had in Jordan James. So I'm excited to see Mekhi Hughes in that offense, because I think that he is going to be a really, really essential player for Dante Moore, and that, that offensive line that has talent, but is still like semi unproven in certain spots.
I would also add in the mix a couple other guys. Hughes is very, I think, is going to be a riser. I mean, he's already somebody who I feel like I'm already starting to see some pretty big buzz for, just generally for Oregon's success in draft circles. His name is starting to get brought up more. I think like we always kind of start to see a little bit later when people get acclimated to the players who transferred from, lower levels that are trying to make that transition to a much bigger program. It's kind of the same thing with Isaiah World, where, I watched World. We talked about World last week, really liked him. And I think that some people are slowly getting caught up on who he is, what his potential is, and what he's going to be.
All the potential in the world,
Shouldn't be surprised.
I literally said the same joke last week, I think.
I know. I need to stop setting you up to do that. I want to throw out two more guys that I'm intrigued by. Roman Hemby, who is transferring to Indiana now. He's not listed as a starter on the depth chart. I don't know if that changes after fall camp. I don't know if it's just kind of like the due diligence of allowing the current guys on the roster to get a better shot than somebody who's transferring in. At the very least, he's going to be...
Or it could just be a snap share thing. I mean, they had two running backs last year, and they both touched the ball a ton. So like, it doesn't necessarily matter that much, but yeah.
He's a great receiver. Maryland threw the ball 1 million times last year. So having his hands is going to be so helpful for Fernando Mendoza. I mean, I'd go as far as to say, I think that Hemby could have like a similar type of production and role as what Woody Marks did this past year for USC. Like, he could have that type of a transition in this offense. And then let me toss out one more. Jonah Coleman is somebody who catches my attention. He's in really good shape. The Washington running back, he posted an update on how he looks after winter conditioning. It's almost like he was playing up how fat he was. Like, he had a gut. He was kind of trending towards Eddie Lacy.
He's a bowling ball, yeah.
And he's like, jacked.
Do you remember
right
Mike
now.
Davis? Do you remember Mike Davis in the NFL? Like, he was basically Mike Davis. Like, Mike Davis was a little meatball, man. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Well, he's in great shape now. I think both of those guys, again, this is why I think that this class is like deceptively deep, because we could keep looking and we could keep pulling like, well, yeah, this guy was really, really interesting for their team last year. What if he does X, Y, or Z? That's why I get super excited about it.
Well, it's a good plug there for sure. Can I tell you one player that I am like so conflicted with? Can I tell you a running back that I've really actually, quick shout outs. The other underrated running back that I was going to talk about was Jamal Haynes from Georgia Tech, because I love underrated. Jamal Haynes, man. Like, he's 5'9", 190 something pounds. He's not a big kid. He'll never be an early down runner, but that kid is lightning in a bottle, really explosive in tight quarters, makes dudes miss so well, and has surprisingly good vision considering he's only been playing running back for a couple years. He was a former wide receiver. So I think Jamal Haynes is absolutely a part of a committee in the NFL level, at least a third down back with his wide receiver background. So yes, just want a quick shout out. Here's my conflict of a player. I love, and I'm not overutilizing that word here. I love Desmond Reed, the running back out of Pitt. He is Western Carolina transfer. He had over 1,500 yards all-purpose last year, Joe. Had over 500 yards receiving as a back out of the backfield. He has really good hands. He is incredibly deceptive in space. Makes guys miss. Good vision as well. Gets up to top speed in a hurry. Here's the problem, though. He's listed at 5'8", 175 pounds.
And go look at how many
touches.
Touches he's had. You know who it kind of reminds me of? Jaleel McLaughlin, who's been a nice player for the Broncos.
Solid rotational player.
Right, solid rotational player. He's probably going to get kind of slotted down to the third running back this upcoming year. he was valuable because he had a ton of carries and great vision, and he was a pretty good athlete. But the problem ultimately becomes is like, okay, when you're that compact, how long are you really going to last? When you've touched the ball, he touched the ball a ton when he was at Western Carolina. He was getting the ball like every single time they dropped back. They were throwing him the ball in space. He was running the ball between the tackles. He was their offense. Him and Cole Gonzalez were the offense at Western Carolina. So like they needed to rely on him. And kind of the same thing happened this year at Pitt, where he was touching the ball a lot.
Well, so here's the saving grace for him. One, he catches the ball really well as a satellite back type at the next level. And also, he was a good punt returner last year for Pittsburgh as well. So like he brings some special teams value as well. Like I just think this kid is going to end up being a part of a room, have like 75 carries a year, have another 30 to 40 receptions, and then also be the team's punt returner. Like I think he'll get touches though, man. He's so good. And also he's only 20 years old still. So he's, he's younger. He's dynamic. I love a lot about him, but yeah, he's just never going to be a every down ball carrier. Obviously, like could he be a Philip Lindsay? Do you remember Philip Lindsay with the Denver 1 year where he ran for like 1,000 yards, the most random 1,000-yard season of all time? But I just think that he's an NFL player. I think, man, even though he's an outlier of size, because he's so good. Everybody knew it was him last year. Everyone knew when they were playing Pitt that Desmond Reed was the offense. Everyone knew that, especially when Eli Holstein got hurt. When he got hurt, it was like, we know number 0 is getting the ball 15 plus touches a game. Like, no doubt. But then he just kept producing, man. Like, I don't even know if you watched him, but like his Clemson game this year was fantastic, man. And I know Clemson's defense wasn't as good as it typically is, but Clemson still has a lot of defensive players that are going to play in the NFL. You know what I mean? And he's running by guys. He's out leveraging dudes to the sideline. He's turning the corner. Like, yeah, man, I like Desmond Reed a lot. I really do.
Yeah, he's an interesting player. Again, a reminder, folks, if you're in the chat, send us a question about the 2025 college football season, 2026 NFL draft. Even fantasy questions, we will answer those. Hit the like button too if you're joining us to help support the stream. Let's to round us out here, this running back conversation. I want to talk about.
Are we going to mention Jeremiyah Love, or are we going to?
Yes,
that's the top guys?
That was where I was getting.
Okay, go ahead.
The conversation that a lot of people are already starting to have is who is the best running back in the class. Now, you and I stand pretty firm that we believe it's Jeremiyah Love and then it's Nick Singleton. And I would argue, I think that there's actually a little bit of a separation between Love and Singleton. I think that Love is, as long as he finishes the season pretty healthy, is a de facto first rounder. He is one of the few running backs that are worthy of going in the first round. Nick Singleton fits into the bucket more of a player who goes at the beginning of the second or goes at the end of the first for a team that is just looking for another added weapon. Here's my separation point. I think that Jeremiyah Love has much better vision. I think that he has a lot more natural feel for creating for himself. And I also think that he is a lot more elusive and fluid as an athlete. I think Singleton is just a missile. I think that he is a guy who picks up speed really quickly. And when he's given a little bit of space, he gashes defenses. But he, in a way, is kind of like a boat. Like I don't think he like really truly transitions as well as people think. He kind of has to like do this veering type turn in order for him to change directions. And I also don't think that he has the best vision. Like it's not like Donovan Edwards bad, but it is something that I think that does impact his ability to be as productive as he could be.
Yeah, I don't think his vision's great. I also I agree mostly with you. Like I think he's a one cut and go type of runner. Like he's an outside zone heavy like dude. Here's my question, Joe. What's the big difference between him and Marion Hampton though?
I thought that Marion Hampton I thought that he had a much more natural feel for navigating traffic. Like I saw, especially in this Penn State offense where it is open rushing lanes and a lot of outside run concepts, like a ton of outside. They're running a lot of stuff to the edges. So he's just getting opportunities to pick up speed and go. We're not really getting to like truly see what he is between the tackles because they're just not doing it as often as a typical running back is. And Marion Hampton was doing that. He was running between the tackles. He was barreling through people. He was grinding things out. He was driving his legs and he was picking up extra yards. That to me is what the difference is.
Okay. I have a top 75 on Nick Singleton right now. I think Nick Singleton's a good player. I think he's explosive. I think he's very powerful. Like when he gets momentum behind him, he's hard. He's hard to stop. I just think Jeremiyah Love's a different cat. Like I really do. And some people say Notre Dame bias and blah blah blah. I mean, if you look at my historical perspective on the draft, I've kind of I've tended to be a little bit lower on a lot of Notre Dame players. Like obviously I've been high on like Joe Alt and I like Michael Mayer, but like
and Audric Estime.
I like Audric Estime, yeah. And Audric Estime's story's not done yet, Joe. He's on an NFL team right now. But like, do you remember the weird hype for like Kevin Austin and Liam Eichenberg? And like I have been low on several different players. I was even a little bit lower on Xavier Watts than like some people were this year. So like, yeah, I've been historically a little bit lower on a lot of Notre Dame players. I just don't think, and I've been a fan my entire life of Notre Dame football. I know you have as well. I have never seen Notre Dame have a kid that moves like this. Never seen it. Like, yeah, they've had a Will Fuller. Will Fuller was 180 pounds. Like, yeah, wide receiver, dynamic, deep receiver, all that type of stuff, right? This young man is 214 pounds, can play wide receiver if he felt like it, is dynamic in space, changes direction. His power is improving, and it was pretty good down the stretch of the season, even though his explosiveness was not there because of the nagging ankle injury and all that type of stuff. I just think this kid, and this is super cliche, but I just think he moves a little bit different, man. Like, I just think he moves different. Like, he does. And this is also a player that I think, Joe, he is the quintessential, he can run through you, over you, or by you. Like, he can do it in every single way that you need him to do it. So, yes, I'm very high on Jeremiyah Love. I would draft him in the first round. I think that he is RB1 in this class by a decent margin as of today. Things can change, but as of today, that's how I see it.
The other thing too that's like gets really interesting too with Jeremiyah Love is that you hear like last year there were some articles that I had read that were referencing scouts that were coming to games and you'd think that they would be talking about and focused on some of the guys in the 2025 draft. But a lot of the quotes and things that were brought up were how those scouts were focused on Jeremiyah Love. Like they were like, man, this 2026 kid, Jeremiyah Love is going to be special. He is going to be somebody who gets brought up a ton. I still my only pause that I have with him. So he's gotten banged up a couple of times. Knee issues is something that's going to catch your attention. He was banged up during the spring. That is also going to catch your attention. And he doesn't get a lot of carries. Now he's very productive without getting as many touches. Right, which isn't bad. Like if anything, that part of it is good.
Right. No. I was just going to say, I mean, like the context is that the running back behind him's pretty good. Like he would probably start for a lot of different teams. And Riley Leonard ran for almost 1,000 yards. So like that's going to take carries away from him.
That's not the negative of what I'm pointing out though. The negative of what I'm pointing out is that he gets hurt with less touches. This isn't a guy who's getting like 300 touches and then he's banged up. I think that's like they're just two different angles of like evaluating availability for running backs, which is the most important thing.
I think my biggest knock with Jeremiyah Love, which is I think interrelated with this, is that he runs too high, a lot of times. Like he lets his lower body be a little bit of an easy target at times because of just the natural body height that he plays at. I mean, he's a little bit of a high cut kid. I know he's listed at like 6 foot, but I mean, he's 6 foot and he's pretty long, right? Like he's got long arms, long legs, like that type of thing. So I just think he plays a little bit high at times and he allows his lower body to be a little bit of an easy target at times, which is why like it wasn't a serious knee injury, but like a knee sprain, right? Like he gets a knee sprain because he's letting his body, get the ability to be targeted a little bit. The ankle sprain, like it hasn't been any structural damage, but yes, nagging injuries for sure are something to be, slightly concerned with at this point.
We'll see who ends up going in the first round. Again, I still obviously heavily lean in favor of Jeremiyah Love. We both do.
Here's a question.
Okay.
Here's a question. Jeremiyah Love, Nick Singleton. If there is a running back that you think propels himself to being in that conversation, maybe not first round conversation, but like top 50 argument, is there a running back that you feel like has that type of upside if he hits? I have one.
I mean, I still think it's Jaydn Ott. I mean, I think that if he looks healthier and recovered, and he can be as important for Oklahoma as I think many hope he can be, and Arbuckle's creative in getting him the football, I think that he's probably the first person that comes to mind.
Okay. My guy is Justice Haynes going over to Alabama. Okay. That's the guy. And I don't love Justice Haynes as a football player right now. So, like, I think I have a 150 on him. So, like, I do not love Justice Haynes right now. But that kid is super explosive. He's well built. He's 210 plus pounds. He's about to go from Alabama, where he had to share the ball a lot with Jam Miller, and he's going to go to Michigan, and he's going to carry the ball a ton in 2025, I think. Even though they have a couple, like the Jordan Marshall kid, the kid that played last year a little bit for Michigan, like the freshman, I think that kid can play. I think he's a good player. But I do think that Justice Haynes is going to be the number one in that room. If his natural ability as a runner catches up to his athleticism and his explosiveness, I think he could be a massive riser in this class. And also, Joe, let's not discount, he also has NFL bloodlines. So for some scouts, they're going to be like, oh, super talented, Verron Haynes' kid. We could do something with that. So I would pick Justice Haynes as a guy that I think could be a riser if his nuance catches up to his athleticism.
All right, we got to get to some questions here because we've got some great ones that have been sent to us so far. Again, reminder, if you're watching us on Twitter, head on over to YouTube, send us a question in the chat. Hit the like button on the YouTube video as well if you haven't done so. First question that we have in the YouTube chat. I have a trade on the board that I need help assessing. This is from Joe Destro. I have Josh Allen, and 303 trade is for Drake May, 105, Trevion Henderson, and 201. I'm trying to. Do you know how to properly read it?
Yes. He has Josh Allen. The trade is for Drake May, 105, Trevion Henderson, and 201. So he's saying that.
Where I'm confused is
So they want Josh Allen. In return, he would get Drake May, 105, which is Trevion Henderson in a rookie draft, and then 201. That's the trade that he gets back.
I don't know why anyone would trade Josh Allen. It's not like Josh Allen's 35. Like, why would I ever trade?
I mean, it's a
Josh
Dynasty,
Allen,
right? So I mean, one, it depends on how high you are on Drake May, right? That depends on it, and then I think it also depends on how high you are on Trevion Henderson. Like 201 might end up being a good player as well, but like that, the bulk of that is how much you believe in Drake May and Trevion Henderson. I would love to know who his running backs are. I would love to know who the running backs are in this scenario as well. Joe D. My favorite Joe D, by the way. Love it.
Okay. That's always a question that we have to always ask. I was like, what running backs do you already have? Here's my thing is if I'm trading Josh Allen, I need to get a lot more in return than because like a second, right? You need to like smoke whoever you're trading in this situation. I know that's kind of a hard ask. Like people are very tough to negotiate with when it comes to dynasty leagues. Mm-hmm. Giving up Allen and your third round pick, which would probably be for, I don't know, like a depth receiver or something along those lines, a depth running back, to only get a guy who's entering his second year. There's plenty of guys who showed promise in year one that fell off a cliff. I don't think that's going to be Drake May, but that could always happen. Trevion Henderson has not taken a snap yet. He's a very good football player, but there's a world where Henderson just ends up being a rotational player. There's a world that he doesn't.
England, right? He's a Patriot, right? I think.
Yeah, he's the Patriot. Okay. There's a shot that he could end up being a gadget guy that only gets, half as many touches as a starting running back. So you're trading for a player we don't know what his role is going to be, and you're getting 201 in return, which you could probably get a starting caliber player depending on how deep your knowledge is. There's a lot of good running backs that you could probably end up pulling from this past draft class. I would try and get a 2026
part
pick.
Of this. Sorry for cutting you off. I missed a part of this though. He also 303. So they also want 303 in return for this trade.
That doesn't do much for me though.
Yeah, right. No. I think that solidifies my thought process on this trade. Like I would not make this trade if I have Josh Allen in 303. Like I wouldn't do it.
I would try to go for another first. I want 2026 first if I'm making this trade for Josh Allen. You could win a fantasy league with just Josh Allen. I know that's like a kind of ridiculous thing to say, but depending on how many teams there are, if it's like a 12-team league in Dynasty, hell yes, you could win with Josh Allen.
Yeah. No, he could propel you to a victory, absolutely. That's a very interesting Well, again, like I would love to know, Joe, if you're still in the chat, like what running backs do you already have to be able to even think about this trade? Because like my impulse is that I would not trade Josh Allen and 303 for Drake May 105. Because then I don't know about you, Joe, but like it always gets murky too when you're talking about you're building up a lineup for fantasy of having two guys on the same offense at times as well. Like that can make things a little bit complicated at times. Because the way I'm looking at it is you have Drake
Right.
May and Travion Henderson. If one goes off, great, but like that also takes away from the other a little bit in certain instances. You know what I mean? So like that's
Yeah.
interesting as well. So yeah.
I mean, I just think from the general upside, Josh Allen, didn't he have like over, God, how many rushing touchdowns did he have this year? Like that to me is the biggest. Like he is a goal line merchant, and rushing touchdowns are worth more than passing touchdowns. You're not going to get the same type of production from Drake May as you do Josh Allen. You're just
Oh,
not.
no.
I know that people
Not even
compare the
close.
two, but it's just not. It's not going to happen. It's a
Also,
fun question though.
It is a fun question. Here's a little bit of a thing too, is that I liked a lot of what I saw from Drake May as a rookie, but and I think Mike Vrabel's a pretty good coach.
Yeah.
But are you trusting Mike Vrabel to turn a quarterback into like this like this savior, like a big time franchise level dude? Like I mean he did a pretty good job with Ryan Tannehill, I guess, for a couple years, but like I don't know, man. I don't know.
Realistically, in a fully optimistic outlook on this, you're not going to get the results that you're hoping to get from Drake May until year 3 or year 4 of him as a starter to justify trading away Josh Allen. So no, I'm out on this trade unless you can get an extra first. Again, reminder, send us questions. I love the fantasy questions. We haven't gotten, this is the first fantasy question we've gotten. Let us know if you want like insight on elite pick that you should maybe consider taking in Dynasty, whatever it is, drop it in the chat. And if you haven't done so, please hit the like button. If you're on Twitter, come join us on YouTube, where we are prioritizing the questions in the YouTube chat. Brandon Hallman asks us who the Ohio State halfbacks are this year. So they traded for CJ Donaldson, who comes in from West Virginia. Jeez. Oh my God. Transfer. We're just talking fantasy. I mean, basically a trade. Transferred in CJ Donaldson from West Virginia. They also have James Peoples, and then they have the legendary Bo Jackson as well on this roster.
Oh yeah. Bo Jackson, who Notre Dame actually recruited as a linebacker, which is kind of funny that he's playing running back for Ohio State. I know a lot of teams also recruit him as a running back, so it's not like, oh my God, Ohio State's the only team that recruited him as a running back. It is just kind of funny. Joe, here's my take. So I've seen James Peoples in person. Actually, he was at the All-American Bowl a couple years ago down in San Antonio. I saw James Peoples in person. I like that kid a lot. Like and I know he didn't play a ton this year, so like it's a little bit of a question mark, but like I think that kid will be I think he's going to be RB1 for Ohio State by the end of the year. Like I like James Peoples a lot. You know who I don't like? CJ Donaldson. I watched him, dude. I watched both the West Virginia running backs from last year. CJ Donaldson. They have Jaheim White, who's like the smaller back, like the 5'7", 190 kid. I do not like Donaldson at all. I thought I was going to like him too, because he's like kind of my style. He looks like Damian Martinez, right? Like physically, you're like, oh, he's like 6'2", 237.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
I like that kid. The former tight end recruit. So he's a tight end recruit, now playing running back. I do not like him at all. He's pretty powerful, but like I thought he was a very, very below average athlete. Like I did not think he was athletic at all, man. Could it improve with having bigger rushing lanes at Ohio State? Like it's possible. A better offensive line in theory than West Virginia, maybe, but I am underwhelmed by CJ Donaldson as a potential replacement for either Travion Henderson, or I guess in this scenario, he'd be a replacement for Quinshon Judkins because he's more of the big physical back and James Peoples is a little bit of the smaller lightning back.
He ain't Quinshon Judkins.
No, he's not.
He is not Quinshon Judkins.
And I wasn't even a Quinshon dude. Like I had like a 3-4 on him or something like that. Like I was not a Quinshon Judkins truther at all. But yes, Quinshon is much, 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 much better than CJ Donaldson. I do not like CJ Donaldson one bit, to be honest.
I could like see a guy like him having like a unexpected 8 touchdowns because he's just like their goal line back. Yeah. He had 11 last year, and he's had some decent college production. His style works really well in the Big 12. And my reasoning is just simply that there's not a lot of like super meaty physical defensive lines that you're going up against. So like it's easier for him to pop off for like a random big game compared to, going to war in the Big Ten and splitting carries with somebody like Peoples, who's a highly recruited kid and who's going to be more productive, like we just talked about. But yeah, like if he has 8 touchdowns, because it's like, all right, it's 3rd and 1 on the on the 1 yard line, 2 yard line. We need to go for it. We're just going to run the ball up the middle. CJ, get in there. Like, yeah, I can totally see that happening.
We had a true platoon last year for Travion and Quinshaw because both were talented, right? I just think that this is going to end up being a James Peoples is the RB1, and then CJ Donaldson ends up playing a role. Like, I think that's ultimately is what it's going to be long term. I do not see this being like a 50-50 snap share. Like, I'd be actually very surprised if it ends up being that, just based upon what I've seen of Donaldson. So yeah, my favorite thing about you too, Joe, I don't know if I ever told you this, my favorite thing about you is anytime you talk about like a physical defense or like a staunch defense, the word meaty is always mentioned. That's
my favorite word. It's my
big,
favorite
defense
word. I will get as to peel back
graphic?
the curtain, of course. Yeah, graphic. I will gladly make my commentary as sus as possible, and I wait for people to call me out for it. That is my goal consistently when I'm breaking shit down. Because
dude, that big meaty defense, man, you can never get out the backside. Like it's
all
so
right.
Just...
You crossed the line. See, there's a nuance to it. There is a nuance to it, and
stupid.
You ran full speed into the wall. You gotta,
just like CJ Donaldson. Speaking of that, oh man.
In all seriousness, though, like I generally think that a lot of people take evaluation and talking about players and projections, they take it too seriously. So like, yeah, it's one of my ways of trying to have a little bit of fun and creativity. Just like you wouldn't allow me to be fun and creative by saying the word fervor, which is an awesome word. So much so that I still can't believe you made me doubt if that was a word or not. I almost thought that I made up a word.
Dude, I prefaced it by saying I'm sure it's a word. I just was not familiar with the word. I wasn't even like, oh man, are you sure that's a word? Like I was just like fervor. Like I've never heard that word.
No,
that was literally all I said about fervor. That's all I said about fervor. It sounds like it should be a dating app. Like, oh, let's go over to Fervor and find a date for the night. Like,
maybe we're on to something. Maybe we should start a dating app called Fervor.
What are even the dating apps nowadays? I met my wife on
Hinge,
Plenty of Fish, like 12,
Tinder. That is a real
ago.
old. That's a real old
yes.
man move.
That's the only one I know.
It's
dude.
Hinge and Tinder.
I know what Tinder is, but like I never used Tinder. Like I was POF and then found my wife, and I've been done since, obviously. So
Hinge is the better one. But they're all pretty mediocre. I pray for anybody who's looking for a date on a dating app these days, or even in person. It sucks. All right, let's get back to questions here. Brian asks us, is there a running back that gives off a Kyren Williams, Kyle Monangai vibe when you watch them? So assuming this is in 2026, that is a great question.
So slow? Is that what we're looking for? Is
no. Well, you're calling Kyren. Wait. Before we answer this, before we answer this, because Sean and I talked about this last night on Hack City about his contract. I didn't realize there was it was so contentious on if Kyren Williams should get paid or not. Do you think that he should get a $10+ million contract?
10, yes, like even 12 maybe, but like if it's getting close to like the 15 range, like no, I don't think he's quite that guy. But Kyron's a really good, he's an underrated running back. Like he's had some fumbling issues, like that's been a part of the issue, but like he catches the ball well, he's very consistent. Like
he's also not 26 yet too, which is like he's on the younger side. And like we're paying a 27, 28-year-old running back.
And he's maybe like a top 3 running back in the NFL in terms of pass blocking. Like, I think Kyron's a very good football player. Very good.
The really dumb conversation that I saw on X yesterday when I stumbled upon this. There were a bunch of Rams creators that were going back and forth on this. Their argument was that Kyren doesn't provide any impact as a receiver in the passing game. It's like, okay, let's look into what we're. Yeah, he only had like 200 receiving yards, but let's take a quick second to think this through. Kyren Williams, one of the best running backs in the NFL at pass blocking. Do you think that it would be, if you're Sean McVay, who is just this maniacal approach to how he orchestrates his offense, you think that he's not going to utilize the best pass blocking running back often? If you watch their offense, he is in pass protection so often when Stafford drops back. So why are you surprised that he only has 200 receiving yards?
Also, anybody that's watched Kaytron knows that Kaytron can catch the ball well too.
He just doesn't. They don't use him that way.
I hate the box score scouting stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like at Notre Dame, he was incredibly good at catching the football. Early in his Rams career, he's been good at catching the football. Like he can catch the football. We have a conversation of like, is he used enough in that capacity? Like that's fine, but like to act like he's not a good receiver is, I think, just that's just analytics driven. Like that is not film driven at all to say that.
If you had to answer this question from Brian, though, it is I love this new question. Bucky Irving is the other archetype. So a day 3 guy that could go on day 3 in 2026. This requires a lot of projection. That's just going to work his ass off and stick on the field.
And probably is not a great athlete, right? Like that's probably what we're looking for. A guy that's going to go under the radar because he's not a great athlete, but he's a good player ultimately.
Yeah, good vision, good instincts.
You said him early in the show. Jonah Coleman out of Washington.
That was who came into my head. That was exactly who came in my head.
I had like a top 150 on him, I think, or a top 200 somewhere in that ballpark. But like, he is 5'8", probably. He might be 215, 220. Yep. And he's not his explosiveness is fine, short area, but like he's not going to win any races. Like he's not a long speed guy at all, and he's just he's a singles and doubles hitter. He's not a home run hitter. Like he's just not. But like he is going to be a part of a platoon in the NFL, and I would not be surprised if he was a lead ball carrier part of a platoon. Like I think that he is going to end up being just a good pro. Yes, that's what I see with that's what I see with Jonah Coleman. I think he's that type of player.
I haven't evaluated Jonah Coleman yet, but the way that you just described him makes me realize that I'm probably going to love him then. That he's just a grinder.
He's going to run through a MFer's face, man. That's what Coleman's going to
Yes, Taj Brooks, Kyle Manungai were two of those guys that I loved that fit that description.
Oh, here's another one. Can I give you one more? If I can? I think Jam Miller from Alabama's kind of like that.
Yeah.
A little bit too. Jam's all right, bro.
Too. Hell yeah.
He's all right. He stole a lot of carries away from Justice Haynes, which is why Haynes ended up transferring to Michigan. But like Jam is good in tight quarters. Like he's got decent explosiveness, but he does not have long speed at all. So like if you're driving to be a long speed guy, you're not going to love him, but he's got really good vision, man. Really good vision, consistent, pretty physical. Like I like Jam too. So Jam Miller and Jonah Coleman would be my two early guys that I've watched.
All right. We actually have I got another running back question from Chicken Stew. That's a great name. On Twitter.
Chicken Stew used to be his name was something else, but yes, I've been following him. We've been following each other for a long time. Yep.
His question that we got, Minnesota running back Darius Taylor. Can he be a top 5 prospect at his position?
I didn't love Darius Taylor when I watched, to be honest. Can I just read like my opening blurb on him real quick? Because I have an eval on him. I said
I haven't watched him, so I'm leaning on you on this.
Dense, physical, and productive. Taylor made an impact very early on in his Minnesota career. They are a school that has quietly put out good running backs over the years. Taylor has a chance to be one of the best in a while. At 6 foot and 215 pounds, Taylor has the desired look of a next-level rusher. He is a stronger back that typically plays with a good combination of pad level and contact balance. Perhaps the most unique part of Taylor's game is the creativity he possesses as a runner. He makes subtle cuts, which make players miss in tight quarters. Despite being a bigger back, Taylor also has dependable hands out of the backfield. That impact as a pass receiver creates a really appealing floor on the NFL level. But like the negative part, I'm not going to read the whole negatives. It's just like, I think his processing is pretty spotty. I don't think his vision is great. And he tries to bounce a lot of stuff right now. So like his vision combination.
Big dudes who try to bounce runs is always like what are we doing here, man? This isn't high school.
He bounces a lot, dude. And the weird part is that he plays at Minnesota, who's got pretty good offensive linemen, right? Where I'm just like, why are we bouncing so much? Like, it's so weird. So I actually like the athlete. I think is very interesting. At 250 pounds, I think he moves well. I think he catches the ball pretty well. I just didn't like the processing and the vision. Like, I just thought that it was very, very spotty. So I think he's more athlete than player right now, if that makes sense.
That's a good analysis on him. I've heard a little hype for him. I think that as we've kind of illustrated here, though, for Taylor, there's a lot of, as we're mentioning, underrated running backs. And there's also a lot of guys that are coming off of injury that are going to be risers over a guy like Taylor. But he's been productive. So he's at least a name to be aware of. A question from Elks. Always sends us good questions. He is a longtime Rufino and Joe Show listener.
He's also an A to Z Sports Nashville guy. He's in the show.
I didn't know that.
I
found that out
Elks.
recently.
He's
Which
Big
is very,
Ten Jeff,
very
right?
funny.
Big Ten Jeff.
Yes,
Isn't that the same person? Yes. Yep.
Jeff Elks is hilarious because he knows what he's talking about. He always shows up. He loves sending super chats, which I always appreciate. But he loves to antagonize. But it's not like in an annoying way. It's not like in a disrespectful way. It's just like this is my take, and I'm going to make sure that like you understand where I'm coming from. And I clearly see you getting worked up by the opposing opinion, so I'm going to keep coming at you.
He also Elks is, and all respect to Elks because he supports, man. I respect it. He also comes into the Tennessee Titans show, and he's a Colts fan.
Yeah, he's a Colts fan. I think he lives in Nashville, or I forget what the no he doesn't. This is he lives in Florida. I gotta ask him what his affiliation is.
I'd love to know his background. He should
it's very random.
It's
huge Ohio State fan too, which it gets even more random. It's like none of these things are adding up. The questions that Jeff asked us though, where does Caleb Downs get drafted? Top 5, top 10, and then does the Carnell situation? Does Carnell continue the OSU first round tradition? I say yes. My take first on these two things. We already talked about Caleb Downs. I think even if Caleb Downs takes a step forward, gets to show us some more coverage capabilities on film, and he takes a leap that I think some people are expecting and projecting here, safety value is automatically going to tank him. Top 15 is the highest I would project him. Safeties just do not go early. They very, very rarely do. It is a history. We put it on the graphics. People still told us in the video that we broke down on Caleb Downs that we were trying to be contrarians. We're not. There's historic information that shows that there is a very small number of guys that go as early as they do. But the good thing is if you do go that early, you typically end up having a pretty successful NFL career. Carnell Tate, I do think that he's going to be a first rounder. I think that he gets more reps. The NFL naturally, even if he doesn't like completely blow everybody away, the NFL does helmet scout. And they're going to take a guy like Carnell Tate in the first round if he shows some good things. He's a pretty good route runner, makes some pretty big plays, and he'll get a lot more targets.
So for Carnell Tate, real quick, so I don't jump around too much, I think Carnell has a good chance to go in the first rounds because he's 6'2", he's got a pretty long frame, he's a good route runner. Like, there's a lot to like about Carnell Tate. And also, Joe, not a great wide receiver class. It doesn't appear on paper early on. Like, I mean, who's wide receiver 1 right now? I mean, it could be a few different guys, and I wouldn't necessarily say you're wrong. Like, is Evan Stewart take a big jump? Does Eugene Wilson out of Florida, take a jump? Like, there's a few guys that could be in the conversation, but like, Carnell Tate seems like he has a little bit of a easier path than a couple guys to potentially be even wide receiver 1 potentially in this draft. So I would say Carnell Tate definitely has a good chance. Retracting and going back to Downs, I think he's a top 20 pick. I think he could go top 15. The people, though, that are automatically he's a top 10 pick. 1, he's going to be 5'10" and a half, probably 200 pounds. He's going to be a solid to good athlete, but not an incredible athlete. You mentioned the track record of safeties falling down the board a little bit. Like, it happens almost every single year. Here's the thing, Joe. You know who guys that break trends? They are historical outliers in the positive sense. They are guys that are freak shows. And I maintain that if Kyle Hamilton, who was a historical outlier in the best way possible, a 6'4", 220-pound safety that could do a little bit of everything, if that kid can only go number 14 overall, then I do not think that Caleb Downs is going to go top 10. I just don't. It doesn't mean that Caleb Downs isn't good. It's just guys.
I know this is the biggest frustration point when we have conversations like this is like, it automatically comes off as, I hate this player. This guy sucks. He's terrible. He's never going to succeed. And if you like him, you're a dumbass. That's not, it is always jumping to the, all we're saying is that we need to be realistic. He's a safety. Mm-hmm. Safeties don't get drafted this early. He could run a 4.2. Actually, okay, now I'm being a little extreme.
Well, no,
he would need to run.
He might go top 10,
yeah, right. He would need to run like a 4.2 and have one of the most historic safety seasons that we've seen, in my opinion. That's what happens with these guys. Eric Berry went as early as he did because he was a freakish athlete and he was a great player.
And then also forget about position value for a second. Like, let's get away from that conversation. I'm going to say something that some people are not going to like. Okay. I'm just going to say it. When I watched Caleb Downs in a vacuum, again, not talking about positional value, I do not think he was a top 10 pick as a player. Just don't. I just don't. Again, I think he's good. I think he's a very good player, a great college player. I think that he can be a good to very good pro. Like, there's no doubt in the right role. But like, I did not watch Caleb Downs and be like, man, that is a top 10 pick regardless of position. Like, I did not do that, man. I think we're putting the horse in front of the what's the saying? Horse in front of the carriage, whatever, right? Like, I just think that we're getting a little bit too ahead of ourselves right now. He could end up being a top 20 player. I think he will end up being a top 20 player, but I just don't think he's a top 10 pick. I just don't. We'll see if I'm right or wrong about that.
I slightly pushed back a little bit. I thought that his film was great, but the problem was the role that he was playing was very specific.
Yep.
And it calls into question on who he is as a player. And I implore anyone to go watch, not broadcast film, go watch the All-22 of Caleb Downs. They dropped him in the middle of their defense as almost as a hybrid middle backer is how they were using him. He was covering the middle of the field. He was playing in the box a ton. We're not talking about Nick Emmanwori, Kyle Hamilton sized guys. Again, right. You just mentioned two players who went deeper than expected. They didn't go as early as we thought that they were going to go. Emmanwori, who I keep bringing this up, had literally the most historic combine performance ever. Not at any position. We have never seen a testing performance like Nick Emmanwori, and he went in the second round. And it's not like he is an Obi Melifonwu type of a guy. His film was good. His film was good enough for him to go in the first round.
He's not built like
Caleb Downs,
but yeah,
right? Caleb Downs is better film than him. But what I'm saying is that their usage not the same, but similar. They're both playing. All three of them play a lot in the box. Kyle Hamilton played more from deep than Caleb Downs did. He played more over the top than Caleb Downs did this past year. But these guys that are these big body players that come down in the box, I know the translation. It is hybrid linebacker. He's going to cover some tight ends. He's going to be a wrecking ball against the run. We can blitz him. We can just throw him all over the place. Downs doesn't have that size. We don't have the examples of him in one-on-one coverage, sticking with guys easily. If he was playing like Brian Branch, I think we'd be having a little bit of a different conversation.
Well, also my one thing I'll say, and then I one tidbit I'll add in, okay, is that one, I want someone, just one person, to post a clip on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it, and tag me in it, of Caleb Downs making a rangy play from depth. One play, just a single play. I'm not asking for man-on-man coverage against a tight end. He had a really nice play against Terrence Ferguson in their game against Oregon in their rematch. I'm not asking you to show me him tackling. I know that dude can tackle. He's an alley runner, man. There's no doubt. Give me one play where I see special coverage from depth. Show it to me. I just want to see a single play, because I haven't seen it yet. I've watched 4 games on him. I just haven't seen it yet. I want you to show it to me. And that is all I want to see. There's no that's all. Just that one play. Also, Joe, you know this because I think you were in the chat at that point, but we were in a chat with a current NFL scouts. Okay.
I was the one who initiated the conversation. I was the one who started this conversation.
The comparison that they made was this is a 5'10.5" Jamal Adams.
And Jamal Adams is big and strong.
But he's talking about the role. He's talking about the play style. Right. Are we taking a 5'10.5" box safety in the top 10? Is that what we're doing?
That's what I was trying to illustrate. Here is, I think we're going to close out on this instead of getting to another question because we're coming up on time.
You don't want to talk
here.
about this? You don't want to talk about this? You don't want to talk about this on the screen right now?
We'll get to that one. We'll get to that one second. We'll get to that one second, actually.
Okay.
I think that we are going to get a very unique and clear way to know the type of player that Caleb Downs is because of the transition to a new defensive coordinator. He played it for Saban. He transitioned moves and plays for
Jim
Knowles. And that was how Jim Knowles deployed him. It was very different than when he was playing at Alabama. He now plays for Matt Patricia, who has been at times. I know that you don't like the hire as much as I do.
Why do you like the
He
hire?
has been.
Why do you
not,
like the hire?
Stop. We're not going. We're not
Why
going
do you like the
hole.
hire?
We're
Tell
not
me
going
why you
down
like
the
the
rabbit hole.
hire. Okay.
Okay. He is, because you and I will get into a debate that will spend 20 minutes on.
You'll also lose it. But
he is been an NFL defensive coordinator. I will classify him as that. So the scheme that they're probably going to run is probably going to be very similar to stuff that Downs is going to see in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
If Matt Patricia says, you know what, if you're as good as everybody says that you are, we're going to play you from depth. You're going to play from over the top. Forget this role that you were playing last year under Knowles. We want to try and utilize you as what you're supposed to be. And if in a new, different role, maybe he does that. Maybe he does the Brian Branch stuff where he plays in the slot and we get to see him in more man coverage situations and our eyes are opened up to like, oh, he actually is a really good coverage player. We just didn't get exposure to it. Right. If in this new situation with a defensive coordinator that I think should use him differently and he shines, then our conversation and our argument changes. It is the evidence that we are asking for. If Knowles was still there, I think that we would still be kind of stuck in this spot, Ryan, where we wouldn't have anything new presented to us that would change our thoughts. But we are afforded the ability to be completely shifted in our perspective, in our projection, because there's going to be a new DC, which sometimes can be a blessing and a curse for a lot of prospects.
There's also going to be new film too, right? So yes, the complete story on Caleb Downs is not written. We're talking about the summer scouting version of Caleb Downs. He's a whole season to play, and maybe you're right. Maybe he ends up doing a different role and he's better in just his impact and coverage. Like all those things could happen. So I'm very interested to see if he takes that step forward or if he just, again, the player he is not a bad player at all. I would still take that player in the first round. We're just talking about a guy being rare. Is he a rare player right now? I don't think he's rare. I just think he's very good. Like that's what I think he is right now.
The question that we had in here before we get out of here.
Wasn't even a question. It was just a comment.
Quinshawn Judkins. Why does it say 12:30 a.m. when he sent that question? That's interesting. Quinshawn
some of these
Judkins
pop
will
up
be
at like random spots. It's so weird, dude. It's really weird.
Will be a Hall of Famer. No.
No.
I think he's ceiling. He could be a multi-year 1,000-yard rusher. That is his ceiling. Hall of Famer. If Nick Chubb is in a Hall of Famer, which he's not, and he has had an awesome career. He is like in the upper category of running back. He is, let's say he's top 15 running backs in the last 15 years.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, at his peak, yes, at his peak. That's always the weird part.
A pretty productive career.
Dude, he's a great player. It's just he didn't last long enough, right? Like that's why he's not a Hall of Famer, is that he just wasn't able to. I mean, unfortunately for him, his health just did not allow him to play long enough to be a Hall of Fame type of football player. So, Quinshawn Judkins, no. I think that's a perfect response. No.
Simply put,
if he's 1,000-yard back, that's a win. If he's 1,000-yard back, that's a win, I think.
All right, folks, we are going to be back at noon on Wednesday next week. If you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and we will talk to you later.